December 10 is International Human Rights Day. This year's theme relates to equality and Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Armenia has reached this day with serious human rights issues: border insecurity, no freedom of movement, the torture of prisoners of war, and so on. Since the 2020 Karabakh war, violations of human rights have fiercely increased for Armenians. Among many human rights violations, the question related to the prisoners of war is the most worrying one. There are currently an estimated 200 Armenian prisoners of war in captivity in Azerbaijan under harsh conditions. Periodically, Armenia and Azerbaijan negotiate the return of the captives. According to point 8 of the November 9 Agreement 2020, Azerbaijan has to return all captives to Armenia. But since the signing, Azerbaijan breaches the agreement and puts preconditions on the release of all the POWs. The ones who could reach their homes, after talks between the two countries, spoke about what they have been through in the hands of Azerbaijani authorities.
They all were subjected to ill treatment, inhuman degrading treatment, but also torture. The forms of torture included not only physical, but also psychological torture, and more alarmingly, all this was systemic and well planned, and the trends of torture, they are common to all captives, even in the vulnerable groups like elderly women. They face the same treatment, and no exception was done whatsoever. They were also using special instruments in the form of electroshocks, buttons, rods, and more. And they even filmed some part of torturing or ill human treatment and disseminated in order to encourage this treatment.
According to a report by the human rights defender of Armenia, the former captives said that abuses were systematic and widespread, involving every single prisoner of war. They involved multiple perpetrators throughout all levels of the military command and areas of service. In September 2021, Armenia filed lawsuits at the International Court of Justice against Azerbaijan. Armenia was alleging violations of the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. The ICJ did not order Azerbaijan to release all remaining Armenian POWs, but ordered Baku to protect captives from any violence, harm, and ensure their equality before the law.
Armenian captives were tortured, they were killed, they were subjected to forced disappearance. So now their physical security is also under the protection of International Court of Justice, which is one step forward.
Following the war, the handover of territories to Azerbaijan led to a situation where villages in Armenia became bordering villages. This created numerous humanitarian issues for the Armenian residents of these communities. Azerbaijani soldiers blocked the Goris-Kapan-Kapan-Chakatan roads in the southern Syunik region. According to Armenia's ombudsman Arman Tatoyan, Armenian villagers living in this area face serious security issues.
I have to say that I myself consider alternative roads very important for any state, but the problem with these ones is that both of them, the one leading from Kapan to Chakatan and 5 other villages, the one leading to Vorotan, Bartsravan and Shornokh, both of them are under the direct target of Azerbaijani armed servicemen. So the issue of security is not solved.
As a consequence of these blockades, inhabitants also face education and healthcare issues.
People are deprived of their possibilities to work because some of them have jobs in Kapan, in Goris, and they were traveling every day from Kapan or from Goris to these villages or from villages to these cities. We have problems with education. Students cannot attend classes. Apart from this, people experience huge problems related to healthcare issues. So this absolutely humanitarian right, which cannot be subject to any limitations, now is limited for people. Apparently, these villages are not accessible, almost are not accessible for emergency services. It is obvious for me that Azerbaijani armed servicemen and authorities generally are doing all of these illegalities or unlawful actions intentionally.
Besides the prisoners of war issue and the situation of villagers in bordering villages, Armenia is subject to other violations, such as the desecration of cultural heritage and xenophobia against Armenians.
We have been reporting this to the international community. Unfortunately, I have to say that the international community have been silent, which was another cause for all these violations.
On this day, the international community celebrates Human Rights Day, remembering and condemning their violations. In the meantime, Armenians continue to suffer the consequences of hatred.
No political, economic, or other interests are behind protection of human rights. Sometimes human rights can go against political and economic interests, but we do believe that the international community will have the courage to protect the values.